Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 70 of the Sim Racing Show. And this week we're going to start with Project Motor Racing, because this game could change everything in sim racing, or nothing at all. Because are the new headlines and footage that have been revealed enough to back up all that hype? We've just seen the hype train get derailed with the Set Course Evo. Let's take a cold hard look at Project Motor Racing. Meanwhile, iRacing has teamed up with Cosworth, and they're giving away a free tool that could completely change how you look at your lap times. IndyCar is finally getting its own official game built with, but not part of iRacing. We'll investigate that. And Nacon's Revosim bundle is already on sale, and it's one of the cheaper ways to get into proper direct drive. Choker Xtreme Racer, I have to let you know about, because the reboot of that just leaked the car list, and one legendary car in there might steal the show. And if you prefer more chaos, Wreckfest 2's, remember that latest update adds new rides, new layouts, and motion rig support. That to me sounds like a trip straight to the hospital room, but we'll take a look. And rFactor 2 doing something interesting with a new laser scan track, but it's not as it seems. And Test Drive Interstellar Crown got a big mid-season update, but as you might expect, features, delays, and yet more promises. Let's get into it. Straight For's upcoming sim, Project Motor Racing, has officially confirmed that one of the most loved tracks by sim racers, including myself, you know it, is coming to the game. It's Spa, of course. That means Eau Rouge, Raidillon, Pouhon, Blanchimont are all in the game when it launches on November 25th. We're getting close. Spa is joining a roster that already includes Monza, one of my favourite tracks, Silverstone, Donington, and the Nordschleife. But arguably Spa stands out as, for some people, the headline track. No footage yet, just a couple of pictures, but Spa's confirmation is arguably the biggest sign yet that Straight For are serious about making Project Motor Racing a proper driver's sim. Now, do you think adding Spa makes Project Motor Racing a must try, or does it need more than just headline tracks to stand out? Does it need to confirm that VR is going to be there at launch? And do we need to hear more about this promised single-player career mode that we need to check that it's not exaggerating, it's not overhyped? But if you think Spa, by the way, landing in Project Motor Racing is big news, wait until you hear what classic circuit was secretly laser scanned and dropped into rFactor 2. So we'll get to that. But before that, today's video is sponsored by the brand new Moza R21 Ultra DD wheelbase. Yes, this is Moza's new 21 Nm direct drive wheelbase with a new force feedback algorithm and support for 360Hz in iRacing. Moza have also added dual RGB strips that can show in-game telemetry feedback like ABS, traction control, and flags. And that wheelbase will be shipping soon, so use the notification link in the description if you want to be one of the first to know. And a big thanks to Moza for sponsoring this episode. And as always, if you purchase anything from Moza using my affiliate link in description, I'll get a small commission on the rest across to you. Worth saying, I've been using the Moza R16 for a long time now, so the R21 should be a big technological step up from that older wheelbase. Now let's talk IndyCar, because this one is huge. IndyCar and iRacing are teaming up for a brand new official IndyCar game that's set to drop in the second half of 2026. It's coming to PC, PlayStation 5 and Xbox X and S, like the NASCAR game. And it's not just going to cover the main IndyCar series. The really exciting Indy Next feeder category is included too. And even better, allegedly, the handling model is being shaped with input from real drivers, including Scott McLaughlin, who just happens to be one of the fastest and most outspoken Kiwis on the grid. The big question is whether this becomes the proper console home for IndyCar, or if it ends up just being forgotten because it's too niche. Also, what about IndyCar content in iRacing? And a similar question about NASCAR. What happens now if you're a dedicated iRacing subscriber? How do you feel about the IndyCar thing being standalone? Should iRacing just have included this in the default subscription, given it is quite expensive, or is it better that it stands standalone? So we're going to investigate that over the coming weeks. But speaking of iRacing, IndyCar isn't the only thing that's going on there. There's a massive update coming out soon with iRacing, by the way, including finally new UI change. But there's another partnership that's gone a bit under the radar that could change how we use telemetry forever. And there's a little race logic box you can see behind me here that I use quite a lot. So I'm really interested in telemetry. So iRacing are teaming up with the legendary British engineering firm Cosworth and using their Toolbox program, which is going to be freely available to iRacing customers from the 16th of September. This Pi Toolbox software kit interprets iRacing's telemetry files, letting you break down every brake tray, steering input and throttle stab to figure out where you're leaving time on the table. It's more than just a little freebie though. It's part of a bigger deal that I see Cosworth branding appear in iRacing's NASCAR 25 and iRacing Arcade when they eventually release. Now it's worth letting you know, I did do a big piece of content with Race Logic where I learned to drive a track using the telemetry, and then I went to the real track in real life. I raced it in a real racing car, and then I analysed my telemetry and I compared it to my telemetry on sim. There was a lot of content made out of that, but if you want to see me kind of make another video on it and how to use telemetry, just let me know in the comments. Write telemetry in capital letters. Now let's switch gears and we'll go from American open wheel and data to something completely different, which is Japanese street racing. And trust me, the car list leak here is basically a love letter to Honda fans who have been missing from the street racing scene in sims, let's be honest. So Tokyo Xtreme Racer reboot just got way more exciting. There was a leak that happened, and now we know a bunch of cars that are coming for the 1.0 release. So the Honda NSX was already confirmed, but now it looks like the S2000, great car, Honda Beat, which I've driven a lot in GT, 2 Civic Type Rs, so the EK9 and the FL5, 2 Integra Type Rs, and the NSX Type X are all joining the lineup. So it's basically a greatest hits from Honda. Then you've got the Lexus LFA, which I've driven a lot on Tokyo Expressway in GT. So if it nails the sound there, that could be incredible in Tokyo Extreme Racer. So let me know what car out of the ones I've said that you kind of like, that's the car that I really liked, or is there anything you still want to see added? I bet Kazuo Mucci at Gran Turismo is looking enviously at that list. Now there is another game I need to let you know about that's got all on the Carnage side, that's adding more in early access, and arguably doing early access I think the best out of any other racing games that I've seen recently, so it's worth to mention. This is Wreckfest 2, and they've just dropped their 3rd early access update. So we've got 2 fresh rides. We've got the Switchback muscle car and a small car called the Popper. On the side, Bugbear have basically slipped in what it looks to be like an unlicensed remake of Finland's Kuova rallycross circuit. So that's a bit of a throwback given the game's done that previously with other ones. And they've added a new layout as well. In fact, quite a few new layouts across existing venues and smarter AI, they say as well. Telemetry output for motion rigs is being worked on. That sounds insane. Can you imagine? I'm not even exaggerating. Can you imagine how that might be doing Wreckfest 2 with motion? It's arguably one of the best uses of motion, because often in proper sim racing, the motion is too exaggerated and delayed, but that's not going to matter in Wreckfest 2. Now, what about a sim racing bundle that's already on sale, even though it only launched a few months ago? It's getting a lot of attention from the content I do on it. This is Revosim's RS Pure bundle, only launched early this year. I was at the reveal in Paris, but they're already throwing a discount at it. And I feel Nacon are listening. When I went there and I interviewed the product manager of this bundle, I said, this is great. When's it going to come to PlayStation? They said, you know, let's see if people want it to come to PlayStation. You all put in the comments of that video, of my video, come to PlayStation. Now it's coming to PlayStation and Xbox. Also, people have been saying, I like the fact it's 9 Newton meters, but it's a bit too expensive. Well, now in the UK, for example, UK pricing, it's dropping from £699 to £599 from September the 5th to 29th as part of a back to school promo. So remember, you get a 9 Newton meter wheelbase, you get a steering wheel with like a NRG style quick release, and you get pedals with a load cell brake, 100 kg load cell brake. Very unusual pedals, don't really look like anything else out there with the PlayStation and Xbox versions in the way. So let me know in the comments whether you think $599 is good enough value to tempt you into this new Nacon Revosim ecosystem, or are you holding out for other options? Now remember, I've spoken a few times about a secret laser scan track, okay? Now let's get into it, because this one actually came out of nowhere, because it's rFactor 2, and Motorsport Games have basically moved on from rFactor 2 to Le Mans Ultimate. But this is Circuit Zolder, a track that I've driven a lot in sim racing, done a lot of Jimmy Broadbent's 23 hours there, and it wasn't authored by Studio 397. Instead, this is super interesting, the project was privately funded by Frederick Alonso, and he teamed up with Belgian surveyors called Tecon to get the track laser scanned before releasing it under the Sims third-party approved program. It's essentially a mod. Are you listening, Assetto Corsa Evo? Now this is kind of a reality check. Now with Studio 397 kind of focusing as much as they can in Le Mans Ultimate, trying to keep that momentum going, this is probably the only way that you're going to get new content in rFactor 2 outside of the, I think, the licensed touring car liveries. But what do you think of this? Like, if someone's going to go into that much effort as a quasi like passion project, or they want to get some money on the back end, yeah, if they can get it approved and it's all above board, I think this is absolutely fantastic. And I think this is why we need more modding in games. Now, I promise you we'll talk about Test Drive Nutella Crown, because developers keep trying to fix problems of the past and they are trying to push forward. They're still working on it. So they've announced a mid-season update on September 10. So the casino is expanding with a Gold Dragon slot machine and the option to cash out chips for solar coins, but poker is delayed till Season 5. This is stuff I never thought I'd cover on the Sim Racing Show. Players in 61 countries are banned from the casino. They're still waiting on answers about, I think, winning an exclusive like AMG GT Black Series. But they're trying to work out the casino stuff. That's a kind of cultural thing with Test Drive Unlimited, the whole series. The SARD anti-cheat is being removed on PC. That's big. People didn't like it. Fixes are coming to daily challenges and achievements, and better optimization, KT say as well. There's going to be detective missions in Season 5. So, what can they do with Test Drive Nutella Crown? Do you think they can actually build momentum? I'm going to keep covering it because there's an essence of that game that I enjoy so much. If they can kind of strip away all of the nonsense, and that'll be a really interesting journey to see a game go through that. So, of course, Evo is going to have to do the same thing. As always, please make sure you share this Sim Racing Show. Hit the share button. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you in the next one.